Bacon time. Aaron's running a little late tonight, so I'm going to start us off. We've got Troy and Big Tex TJ here with us today. So let's get us kicked off here, guys, and welcome back to the show.
Hey, let's get this rolling here. Week 1 is underway.
Oh, thank goodness, huh? We got the next
Yeah, but that just means winter's right around the corner, and I'm not looking forward to that.
You know, there are worse things in the winter. I'm just saying, you know.
True, very true.
So I guess what do you guys think so far? We've got the Lions and the Chiefs. What's the deal?
What do you think, Tej?
You know, I've been saying this all day today, and I had a buddy text me literally right after the first show that we had, and I said the name to watch tonight, Aiden Hutchinson. He is literally tearing it up on that left side. He's getting that's the only that's the only Michigan player I will ever say go for. But you know, he's a force, dude. Like he's a freak. He's one of those guys that, you know, I was really excited to watch this season, see if he can actually break out. And he's proving a lot tonight. I mean, it's very hard to get to Patrick Mahomes sometimes. He's doing it, and he's getting him out of the pocket and making him feel very, very pressured.
Okay. What are you seeing, Troy?
Well, you and I were kind of chatting a little bit before we go here, and I mean, it kind of seems like the Lions are not afraid to kind of go for things, taking chances, and honestly, they're kind of lucky in a way that they're not down a lot more than they are. They're only down 14-7 right now, but if they would have been playing their cards right here, you and I were talking like they could literally be up in this game, 21-14
Absolutely.
or something like that right now. So I don't know. I think they feel like they need to pull out all the stops, and I don't think they do at this point, especially with the Chiefs missing Kelsey and Jones right now.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think the thing I'm seeing though right now is the Lions are moving the ball, like consistently moving the ball. That running game is not taking a step back. You know, Gibbs and Montgomery do look good. Goff looks like he's picking up where he left off last year, and St. Brown had his not safe for work celebration already in the end zone. So here we go. But yeah, it's, you know, kind of fun watching as we close the first half out, and yeah, final time out there for Detroit. But NFL's back, boys. Here we go.
Oh yeah, I feel like this is something that we've all been waiting for. Like we've been missing something in this show, and I feel like we always focus on, like, we'll put other sports in here. We're all diehard football heads, man. Like football's on. That's all that we talk about. Hockey, yeah, it can be there. Baseball, we'd love to, but Aaron just tanks us down and says no to baseball.
Well, we got a good news for you tonight, and that's I don't see Aaron, and if I'm in this top corner, I might have a little more control of what we talk about tonight. So I might have to talk a little bit about those Astros and Braves and Brewers. So we'll see what we get to. But we can't avoid the highlight of the day right now, and that is, of course, NFL kickoff. So let's go right into it, because, you know, we all know I can get long-winded. I'm sure we can all get, especially the NFL started, we can get that way. So let's start with the noon matchups here. Panthers at Falcons. What are you watching? Who's winning that game?
Well, I mean, honestly, with the Saints, like the Saints are the ones that I'm kind of watching in the NFC South there, but I could see, we've talked about this ad nauseum. I think I could see any of those teams winning that division at this point. So honestly, I want to see who comes out of the gate there, and kind of who, you know, see if somebody puts their foot down and says, you know, this is going to be my division to take right here. It's kind of crazy to think we have all these week 1 division matchups already this early in the season. It's way for these teams to make statements right off the get-go. So
yeah, definitely.
And I think the Jaguars and Colts, didn't they start off last year against each other, and that was the tie, right?
Yep.
So I mean, we're getting in all these divisional matchups right off the get-go. How do you feel about that? I think that's kind of tough when you go into a divisional matchup. You know, week 1, you don't really have any tape. Nobody really knows what to expect, and you kind of do. But when you know, the Panthers have a new coach, the Falcons, I mean, this is crazy. Collinsworth, poor Collinsworth. He tries his best, but
I hear you, Zach. I hear you.
This is what I think about this game right here. It is literally a game of the two rookies that everybody's going to be watching. Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young.
Yep.
all eyes are going to be on both of them. And the best part about it is they're both on different teams.
Yep.
So this is going to be is Bryce Young is he truly ready for NFL, being a little short guy and he can't see over his linemen? Or is it going to be Bijan? Can he stick to his running game like he did in college and just make people look stupid and being – and I'm not saying this. It's been said in a lot of Texas. The next incarnation of Barry Sanders. The kid can stop on a dime.
That's high praise right there. I mean, you couldn't even like compare him to somebody else. It had to be like the greatest running back of all time.
Hey, like I said, I never said it. It was just said on Texas Sports Radio.
But you repeated it, man. No, so I think the other part I'm looking at there, honestly, is going to the other side. Kyle Pitts kind of has this year. He's got to kind of step up and be that guy they want him to be.
Yes.
Drake London had a good year last year. How does Ritter come out of the gates? Is Heineke going to be I don't remember who the main starter here, but you got that quarterback discussion in Atlanta. You got to watch that. Miles Sanders in Carolina. How does that look? How are they going to use him there? Is this a new life for him? Is this just the end of the road and his payday? I'm kind of curious to see this. I have Atlanta winning. I think even despite their quarterback questions, you've got a home game in the NFL against a rookie quarterback. You've got a decent chance. I'll contradict myself on that later, of course, but for the time being, I'll let that be and say Atlanta, I think, takes this one.
Yeah, I would probably take the Falcons as well. I have that in my picks. I have the Falcons there, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think Frank Reich is going to show you that what was going on in Indianapolis was not his fault. I think you're going to see a good coaching job from him. And I think what you're finding out, especially as this whole Jonathan Taylor situation is erupting, like Jim Irsay is nuts. Like he just can't keep his foot out. He needs to put his foot in his mouth so that he stops opening it, because everything he talks about, he makes the situation so much more worse.
Well, it runs in the family. But
what was that? It
runs in the family there a little bit. We are not moving the team.
Yeah. So I think Frank Reich is going to do a great job with this team. I think the Panthers are going to be right there in contention at the end of the season, and I would not be surprised with a rookie quarterback if they win that division.
Okay. Fair enough.
But early in the season, I'm going to take the Falcons.
Yeah. No, it's going to be actually a fun game to watch on two teams that I'll go ahead right now and eliminate them in the Super Bowl. They're not winning title this year.
Yeah.
But it's still an interesting matchup nonetheless to see if you're a football fan kind of looking at that one. Next one has a little more of my love and TJ's hate here, but the Ravens hosting the Texans. So, look, Ravens are big favorites here, rightfully so. You've got a healthy Lamar Jackson. You got a healthy J.K. Dobbins. There's no chance the Texans win, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's a pretty plane over there.
No, I don't see how. I mean, the only thing, every time I think of the Texans, I think of their inaugural game. What was that against the Cowboys? Or was that the Dolphins when they upset? I remember one of the years, it was their first year in the league and they won, and I think they were big underdogs. I think it was the Cowboys.
Yeah, they played Dallas at Reliance. Well, yeah, at Reliance Stadium and came in and beat them. First game of the season.
So every time I think of the Texans, that's what I think of. And so every time, it seems like at the beginning of the season, every year they're big underdogs. And I remember they did it against the Dolphins one year. I think it was like 2004 or something. They did that. So here we are again. They're big underdogs of the Ravens. So I don't know. Does history repeat itself? I don't think so. But we'll see. I mean, the Texans, I think, are putting some nice pieces together. Let's see what D'Amico Ryan's got. I don't know. I like him. I think D'Amico Ryan's going to do a good job there. I think a lot of people were overlooking the Texans. I really do. But I don't think they win this game. But I think they're going to be competitive this year, very much so.
I don't think this is a runaway game for the Ravens by any means. Yes, Lamar has got his new contract. Yes, he does have new weapons, but OBJ just went questionable tonight. We don't know if he's going to play or not. It's just like Travis Kelce today. Travis Kelce, he practiced. They took him out. Is he going to be missing that one key acquisition that everybody's talking about? Hey, OBJ came in because of Lamar, or Lamar came back because of OBJ. We don't know how that whole situation goes. I don't see the Ravens running away with this one. Do I see them putting up a good number of points? Of course. But I also see maybe not. I feel like it's the first one to, let's say 28. First one 28 gets the game. But at the same time, I don't think Ravens are going to run away with this one. It'll be a great game. I want to see what D'Amico Ryans can do. He had the most tenacious defense for the 49ers. He's kind of building the same situation here in Houston, where that's what he wants is a defensive-minded team. You picked up Will Anderson, who was one of the most feared DN / linebackers last season, and you picked up CJ Stroud. You've got two highly touted draft picks right there. They went back to back. This is going to be a team that, coming into Baltimore, I'll tell you right now, they already had the buses flew in today. I watched them come into BWI. They drove down to Baltimore. It was kind of cool because there's a bunch of Texans fans right behind them. And I was like, hey, I know who that is. So there's a lot of hype behind this game today. And this is going to be
They're in town already, DJ?
Yeah, they come in town. They normally come in like Wednesday, get some practice time here in Baltimore to figure out, because it's supposed to be very hot this weekend. They flew in this morning. I mean, I was making a stop right next to the airport, and sure enough, here comes all the buses.
Wow. That's great. The Bills usually only do their travel day like the day before, so I'm really surprised they're in town already.
Yep.
So I think the part I'm going to go to here is I'm not a Stroud fan. A lot of guys are. I'm not. I don't see what everyone else sees in the guy as far as I think that Stroud is – I might get shot for this one – should be more like a Jordan Love. Should be in that category of give him a few years of the clipboard, let him work himself in, let him learn the pro game. Then I'd feel better about him. Still wouldn't be on this hype train of he should have been number one or whatever else. No, look, the guy could be great. He could be. And that's – I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that it's a guy going to a bad team with, frankly, a bad O-line in the toughest, highest pressure position really to be able to go into. And then on top they're playing the Ravens defense in Baltimore. Like that's a lot to ask looking at a rookie quarterback. And I mean, even going through this and seeing, looking at the running backs and who they pick up again. Singletary is there with Pierce. Okay, great. Mechie, great story. They're coming back from leukemia. Like, want to see, but he's injured right now too, it looks like. So I just don't see enough in the Texans defense to slow down that offense. And it's definitely going to be a hard part. So Zach, another good point here I'm going to bring up, and I actually have been talking this a lot this past week. So what do y'all think Lamar's real career length will be when he loses his agility and ability to scramble? Will he still be wanted by the Ravens? Now, this is that
questionable this year even.
Well, it is, right? But I think this is where I look at Lamar, and this is where if you watch the Ravens, and we talked a little bit last night in the Talking Packers with Fitz, the guys, the Bears guys. Watching the games is different than watching the highlights. Lamar's highlights are with his feet, but if you watch the games, Lamar can throw the ball. He's not an incompetent passer. He's a capable passer. If you watch him at Louisville, you watch him here again in Baltimore, the guy can throw the ball. You added Zay Flowers to that mix. You added OBJ to that mix. He still has Mark Andrews. I mean, it's Rashad Bateman. People want to write him off already. Rashad Bateman's still there, and he was a star at Minnesota as well. So I look at this, and he's got our wide receiving core. He has a decent O-line in front of him, a good running game around him. As long as the Ravens keep playing Ravens football, they've already proven to us that they can win with Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer Super Bowls. So even without a mobile Lamar Jackson, are you telling me he's worse than an aging Trent Dilfer or even a peak Joe Flacco passing the ball? Maybe not as strong with his arm, but I think that's if the Ravens play defense around the ball, why not? You know, if you got a guy who can make a career player in this day and age, I don't see why not. As far as how many years, I mean, do I think he makes it to 40? No, but I think you can get him to those mid-30s, and I think that's very reasonable.
I hate to make this comparison, but he's the modern Michael Vick, right? So, like, how, I think Michael Vick really learned. He really blossomed in that West Coast offense when he went over with Andy Reid in Philadelphia, and he kind of learned his touch pass a lot more when he was in that offense. I kind of feel that's what Lamar's missing a little bit yet. Yeah, he's got a cannon. He can throw it downfield, but I still think he's missing that short to intermediate area pretty much. And I'm wondering if he'll ever, jump into that like Vic did sooner than Vic did.
Well,
hopefully he doesn't have to go to prison like Vic did to learn it. I don't know.
But part two of that, there's also the change of OCs. You finally changed OCs in Baltimore, and that is massive for Lamar and massive for the Ravens this year. Yes. I've been begging for Rowan to be gone for a couple of years now, and for the Ravens, I'm thrilled for them. I think Harbaugh, I know it hurt him to do it, but it's the right call for this team. And now I think you'll see the Ravens offense take that next step forward and be that much better. So, yeah, Zach, I think I look at Lamar saying he's probably got another contract left in him, and it's going to be that 12 to 13-year career if I had to put a number on it.
So this is where I'm going to have to stop you on that. I feel like his career, I don't think it's going to be that long. And this is the reason being. And being from Baltimore, Ben, you follow the Ravens as well. I'm going to give you a name right here, and it always gives people goosebumps and chills when I say this name. Ronnie Stanley. Never been healthy for a full season. That's Lamar's blind side. That's the reason why Lamar has to scramble. That's the reason why he's got to run everywhere. If Ronnie Stanley, who in my eyes is probably on that threshold of one of the best offensive linemen that the Ravens have ever had. Now, he's not a Jonathan Ogden by any means, but he has that ability to reach that potential in his career to being one of the best offensive linemen for the Ravens. Can he block for Lamar? Keep him in that pocket. Let him throw that ball to Zay. Let him throw it to Devin. Whoever's out in the open, can he throw it to him? Can he get that passing ability? I think he will last. If they cannot get an offensive line, now granted, their offensive line is in the top 10 rankings for this season. I think that's very, very generous of them. They have not been able to keep him clean. I mean, every time you see Lamar, if it's not him running, he's getting hit in the backfield 5-10 yards back. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Now, OC wise, yes, I'm very interested to see this. But here's another key takeaway from this game. Monken came from Georgia, SEC school. Will Anderson came from Alabama, SEC school. He played him every year that he's been at Alabama. Is he bringing the same thing from Georgia to the Ravens? So, I feel like this is kind of like this is a chess match game. And that's what I'm saying. I don't see the Ravens running away with this by any means, but it's going to be a hell of a game. And I'll tell you, we're going to hear fireworks here in Baltimore.
I'm going to throw another name into it. I'm sorry, we'll move off this game here in a second, but the one that I think you're kind of missing here is Tyler Linderbaum. And looking at what he means for this O-line, he's kind of the new Marshall Yanda, if you want. Again, not yet, but that's a guy he looks like profile-wise and has the skill set to be if he can go. He's still very early in his career, obviously, just a second-year guy. But you're looking at, if I'm looking at this line, that's the guy I'm looking at. Again, Stanley is obviously a huge piece of what you're trying to do. Your blind side, got it. But you have Zeitler, Morgan Moses. There's a reason this is a top-ranked line. It's not because of Ronnie Stanley. I mean, he's not hurting him, don't get me wrong. But like you said, can you call him the guy? I can't. So I look at this and say that I think overall the Ravens have options here at O-line. They can still play well. And the other part that I look at with this team in particular is I love what they have done, especially up front in this defense through the draft. Now, I know it's not our favorite school here, Tej, but looking at Matabuke is a great piece for them in that line. He's going to have, I think he's going to have a monster year for him this year. You have Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce, Odafe Owe kind of found his way later in the year last year. Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, David Ojabo. Yep. I mean, it's just, you got guys across here. These are some serious dudes. And by the way, Ronald Darby and Rocky Ya-Sin add to that cornerback group with Ron Humphrey. This team can play. So I think it's going to be it really comes down to me is the Ravens, I think, do run away with this. And I saw Zach say a little more here. And look at Cam Newton as the other one I'll look to. Cam Newton had that monster arm. He made his name running and kind of being that flashy player. But I think that the league is starting to learn. They're starting to figure out what it means to how to use these guys to not shorten their careers. I mean, you want a little more Randall Cunningham, a little less Michael Vick. Just kind of you go back to on this one. So, but moving forward to the next matchup here, it's let's go with the Bengals and the Browns. Bengals fresh off of a monster contract given to Joe Burrow, $275 million. with 219 guaranteed. Monster deal. You could argue well deserved. You could argue it's ridiculous. I can argue both pretty easily. But I'm going to ask a question this way. That's one of the games. Is there any chance the Browns win this game?
I think there is.
Okay.
I mean, it's a division matchup. That's really all that needs to be said in this. It's a division matchup. And say what you want. I mean, it's the Battle of Ohio. Is it possible we see the old Deshaun? That's really what it boils down to for me. If Deshaun Watson comes out and plays like he did 3 years ago with the Texans, they got a shot. Who knows how Burrow's going to be feeling after his injury? Is he going to, I forget which knee that was. Is that his front knee? I think it was his left knee.
I think it was the same knee that he tore his ACL.
Okay. So, I mean, could that be an issue? I don't know. I mean, definitely the Bengals are more talented. I will not deny that. They should win this game pretty handily. But anytime there's a division team against, did the Browns want to come out? Like, are they playing for their coach? Because Stefanski could be gone this year if they don't have a good season. Are they playing for their coach this year, playing for his job? I'm not going to write the Browns off in this. I think the Bengals win, but that would not shock me if the Browns won this game.
So the reason I would is I'm looking at that team, and the defense for the Browns looks pathetic. The Bengals have that solid offense across the board. They've gotten deeper at running back. T. Higgins is getting people asking if he's the second best receiver in the league or the best number 2 receiver in the league. I don't go that far. I think he's a talented guy. But at the end of the day, for me here, the Bengals have too much offensive firepower, and they're just going to keep their winning ways. I don't see enough from the Browns to stop it. They might score. They're going to score. Watson's going to be better than he was last year. Period. The guy's too talented to not be. But there's almost – hey, buddy. There's almost no chance in my mind that Chubb and Watson are enough to overcome what the Bengals are going to bring. So I got the Bengals winning that one easily, and Browns fans going back to the drawing board saying, what do we do now? But by the end of the year, I think the Browns fans will feel better with Deshaun Watson as he matures in this offense and kind of finds his groove again.
Yeah, I feel like week 1, I think the Bengals are going to come out. I feel like Joe may be well rested. This is what he needed to, get himself into the mindset of, all right, I got a new contract. I let my leg settle down for the preseason. I didn't play. I let myself rest. I think this is what Joe Burrows and the Bengals needed was, him to be in the right mindset to play football. Yes, he went to the, Super Bowl, didn't win it. I think this is going to be the game that proves that, hey, even though the Bengals, had some little stumbles this season, I think that, this will be the game where they say, hey, NFC North is our division. And I don't see the Browns putting up much of a fight. Yeah, they've got Watson, they've got Chubb, they've got Amari Cooper, but, there's 3 guys can't do it themselves. I mean, it's not Iron Man football, for Christ's sake. They've got 53 guys to go out there and play, but it may take all 53 for them just to even make the Bengals bend over. I mean, I don't see the Browns having anything early this season. Maybe later on, yes, but beginning of the season, not a chance.
With that said, we welcome Father Bacon. Aaron is here and joining us now. So, Aaron, as you probably hear, we're going into it now to review the Browns and Bengals matchup. Who do you got, and what do you think?
Well, I'll be honest. I need to see Deshaun Watson actually prove that he's the Deshaun Watson from back with the Texans before I start believing him. When he went to the Browns before all the the suspension and everything went down, I thought it was a good move by the Browns. I mean, the contract was ridiculous, but I didn't blame the Browns for taking a shot at him because I did think that he had something, still in the tank. I mean, he was young and everything else, and I realized he only had 5-6 games last year with them at the end of the year. I think this could be. I mean, depending on how Burrow is doing health wise, if he's fine, this could be a blowout. I mean, I don't remember what the spread was for the game. I thought it was a lot closer though than what it actually should be. I mean, I could see the Bengals winning by 2 or 3 touchdowns in this one, but I mean, it'll be a fun. I mean, obviously Cincinnati and Cleveland's always a great, a rivalry game and everything. But unless you have a situation where Nick Chubb goes off or something against the Bengals defense, I'm just not sure if Deshaun Watson is ready, back in playing shape to really do a lot of damage against the Bengals.
Now, where's this game being played? Is it in the doghouse or the jungle?
Doghouse.
Yeah. Doghouse?
Yeah.
It's only a 2.5 point line.
See, that's what I thought too. I thought it was a pretty low, for the Bengals, which I was a little surprised. But I know they always say they usually give 3 points to the home team if it's an even. So obviously you could almost say that's a 5.5 spread, really, if it was in Cincy. But even if it was in Cincinnati and it was a 5.5 spread, I would still think that was kind of low.
Actually, it'd be 8.5 if it was a Cincy, because neutral site would be 5.5.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. So, I could see this one being a blowout. At the same time, I feel like week one, you do never know. I mean, that's one of the fun things about like the beginning of the season. I mean, you look at last year and what San Francisco, what happened to them in Chicago, and of course,
granted there was a monsoon.
Yeah, true. It did make a difference, but I think the Bengals are too much for the Browns.
I think the part of this goes into Joe Burrow's health being a question, and also Joe Mixon. The questions around both those guys change that offense as well. I get that, but I think that if nothing else, the contract that Burrow got today tells us. I think the dude's playing and he's just fine.
Yeah.
So we'll see who we get there. I guess next match I want to talk about, you guys, is the Jags and Colts. So, Aaron, you want to start off after that drink for who you like there?
Move on.
That's another one that I'm actually thinking about putting maybe $20 on a parlay for this week. Just for grins. And this is one I would take. I would take the Jags. And again, I don't even know what the line is on that one.
They're giving 5.
They're giving 5. I'd still take the Jaguars at 5. I don't. Anthony Richardson will be starting his first game. Correct? Isn't he starting? Or
that's correct.
Right? Yeah. So you got, and you don't have Jonathan Taylor. Tell me what exactly the Colts bring to the table that makes you,
Agreed.
And I think Jacksonville continues the momentum that they had last year. I don't see any way that the Colts win this one. But of course, usually when I say that, then somebody pulls an upset or something like that. So maybe I just help the Colts. You're welcome, Indy fans, if your team actually pulls it off.
How about listen to some of these betting nuggets here on the ESPN site. The Colts are 113-1 against the spread in their past 15 Week 1 games, 0-7-1 in their past 8. And the Jaguars are 13-2-1 against the spreads against the Colts since 2015, and the Colts have been favored in the previous 10 meetings. So this is kind of all the betting lines here are on Jacksonville. So with that said, how much are we putting on Indy?
Right? Yeah, no kidding. That does make me nervous about that game, but I don't, like I said, I don't really know what exactly Indy has, that they could throw at Jacksonville that would slow them down or stop them.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Play stall ball.
Yeah. What do you, TJ? Anything else you had to add to that one?
No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Anthony Richardson can do. Everybody thought he was that number 1 draft pick going to Carolina. They thought he was going to be like the next Cam Newton for Carolina. I think the Colts are the team where everybody goes to die. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of the studs that actually play for them. Yeah. But that's the team where like your career, it'll start, but it never takes off from there. So I got Jacksonville by like 130.
It goes back to what we were talking about with Carolina, Ben. Frank Reich, I think Frank Reich's going to show it. He's a better coach than what he was in Indianapolis, and I think it's not because of the coaching there in Indianapolis; it's because of the ownership. And I feel so bad for Anthony Richardson that this is where he ended up going, because Andrew Luck didn't even want to play there anymore. He retires right before the season just to screw him. I don't know what's going on there in Indy, but something needs to change. They need to maybe move back to Baltimore or something. I don't know.
They need somebody to force their owner to sell the damn team. I mean, that's honestly the only thing,
Yeah, it's crazy.
To lose his team.
Anthony Richardson, in my opinion, had the highest ceiling of any quarterback in that draft, and now he's going to go here to Indianapolis and have no chance of succeeding. It's just a shame.
Well, I'm going to challenge you on that. By physical tools, I get it. If you watch Florida games last year, the guy cost Florida some games as well.
Sure, of course.
He's extreme. Again, another guy I'm point to.
I'm basing it. I'm basing things totally on physical.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. But yeah, as far as Richardson goes, for me, I look at the guy as he is so raw. His best case scenario was going somewhere he can hold a clipboard.
Yeah, I agree.
And I say that for any rookie quarterback, frankly. I'm going to draw some ire here right away. I'm going to catch some flack, I'm sure, but the league can learn from the Packers on this one, and take it for what you will. But what other franchise in the last 30 years has allowed each of their last 3 franchise quarterbacks to hold a clipboard before they start with their team? Name one.
Yeah.
There's no one. They draft them, they put them in there right away. So I look at this and say this is where you see the changes come by letting the guy learn the pro game, become professional, and then start a football game. Not start a football game and learn to be a professional on the go. It's just too much.
Yeah, as a Bills fan, Ben, I can echo that sentiment, because they were looking for a quarterback so desperately. They just kept putting him in.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan with McDermott, when he got there and they drafted Josh Allen, was they were not going to play at Josh Allen. They had got I forget who it was. I think it was AJ McCarron or something like that to come in and be kind of the bridge so that until Allen was ready. But then McCarron got hurt in training camp. He ended up getting released, and then Nathan Peterman starts week 1 that season. We all know what happened there. He threw like 17 interceptions like he does every game that he plays.
Right.
And then they were forced. They had to go with Josh Allen. And luckily he broke the odds and got through all of that. But yeah, that was not the plan with Josh Allen at all. It was to sit behind and learn. And I think everybody, all these coaches and everything, are being rushed because they only get 3 years, sometimes less, to prove that their coaching is going to work or their plan is going to work. They throw these rookie quarterbacks in right away, and sometimes they break through, but most times they don't.
And I think that factors back into the bust factor. We look at the guys and quarterbacks, especially who bust. I think it's not that the guys can't play. The guys can play, obviously. The problem is that they're put in a position where they really can't win. In David Carr, Tim Couch, I mean, I can go through a list of names there from history that just seem to prove to me of guys who have had the ability, but frankly just didn't get the chance because they were put in a bad situation.
I mean, even look at the second best quarterback in the league right now, Patrick Mahomes. He even sat a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Best quarterback in the league. That's fine. So
I was waiting for somebody to pick up one.
Well, I don't like to naysay too hard here, but I got to acknowledge that one. So that being said, that the Vikings host the Buccaneers. Aaron and I talked about that last night a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, what do you see with the Vikings hosting the Buccaneers this weekend?
Who's the Buccaneers starting quarterback?
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, in that case, they lose by like 190 for that one. Drew Baker
planting that flag.
So we talked about last time. I'll call us out here too, Troy. I know you're a numbers guy here. Kirk Cousins at home at noon. I mean,
yeah.
It's stars are aligned for the Vikings to actually want to starting the first home game.
Yeah, I would say so.
There we go, Lions.
I mean, we talked about this. Oh, look at this. So, yeah, what was that? Just a pick six, or was that a scoop and score?
Pick six.
Yeah, pick six. Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't. You and I, we were all talking about this when we did the NFC North preview, and I think most of us picked the Vikings to still win that division. Some people were still on the Lions. Other than Dalvin Cook, what did this team really lose? What am I missing here? Like, why do people think this team is going to make such a drop this year?
The defense did back off. They lost Anthony Barr. You got some pieces that who's on the D line? They lost one on the D line as well.
Well, didn't they also lose Darius? Isn't he gone?
Zadarius Smith, I believe, is gone, right? And then
and he had 8. I think was it 6 or 8 sacks in the first 8 games last year for them, and then he totally dropped off in the second half of the year. But yeah, I mean, I don't. To me, that they were so lucky last year.
But they were so unlucky the year before. They literally went from losing 10, one-score games in the previous year to winning those 10 one-win scores, this year. So I think it's going to even out. I think they're going to be closer to 500, but I don't see them having that much of a drop-off.
Well, no, and I think and Ben, I don't remember what you or TJ picked for when we did our North preview, but I still picked them to make the playoffs. I think they lose maybe I think they end up 10-7. I didn't look at their schedule. I haven't actually gone through and done all the wins and losses, but I say maybe 10-7, maybe 11-6. I think Detroit ends up winning one more game than they do. I mean, I think we talked about it when we did the preview that there could be 4 games legitimately separating first from last in this division. It's that close and that that tight. So I don't. When I say I don't see them winning the division, I still see them making the playoffs. I still see them finishing in front of the pack, which kills me to say it, but I do. I think it's going to take one more year for Jordan and the pack to get back into the playoffs. But I don't see a huge drop off. But I don't think changing defensive coordinators was. I think you needed more than that to fix your defensive problems. I guess that's my point. Mm-hmm. And the guys they lost, they lost Dalvin Cook,
who I think we can all agree did lose a step.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think injuries hurt him. I mean, I think the injuries were kind of caught up to him and everything else. But I will say the one guy that scares the hell out of me on that team is that Jordan Addison, their rookie. I think he could have a big year if you're all your focus is on Justin Jefferson. So
because what happened to Thielen last year? That guy disappeared.
Well, he seemed to show up every time they played the Pack. That's for sure. I mean, it seemed like he was always just a thorn in our side. So, but yeah, I guess for this game, I don't really see Tampa doing anything against. They do have that knack for playing well at home. And then they can go on the road and completely, and I'm talking about the Vikings now, they can go on the road and completely lay an egg. I mean, what the Packers win 45-17 last year at Lambeau or something like that. I mean, just crushed them near the end of the year.
Yeah.
But then, they end up pretty much kicking the Packers butt, at US Bank Stadium. So they play well at home. I mean, honestly, I think this line of 6 points is, if this was week 5 and you knew a little bit more about Tampa, I think this would be a much bigger line in favor of the Vikings. I just, so.
Yeah, you can talk about what they lost. Going back to the defenses where they lost a lot. That D line is almost brand new for them. There's not. I mean, Daniil Hunter's still there. It's kind of a rebuild. Even though a new D coordinator is part of it, they basically reset that whole defense. So it's gonna be curious what they
could be a good thing though, right? Because their defense wasn't that good last year.
Nope, understood.
Defense was awful last year.
That's what I'm saying. So,
but I think we've all been through this before. Those defensive rebuilds don't happen overnight, and that's true. It takes time for those guys to gel. It takes time to kind of figure out what you've got and who plays well together.
Yeah, but it's not like they're going to get much worse.
True.
But the other side of that one though is that the Tampa Bay defense is still intact. You have guys here: Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield, Jamil Dean. Yep. They're all still there.
Yeah, they got a good defense, and if Baker plays like he did in 2020. Maybe they got a shot, at that win in that South. I mean, I think that South's wide open. And we talked about that earlier with our other preview there, but that South's wide open.
I think I'll give you a sleeper for Rookie of the Year, and it's actually on the Buccaneers, and that's going to be Sean Tucker. He could take over that running back spot for Tampa Bay, and he could run wild. The guy is a very talented back. He did a lot at Syracuse, and so I think you could see him do very well, and he could be that surprising piece. But for this week, I think you're looking at I think the Vikings are too much. They're too comfortable at home. I joked around last night that Kirk Cousins can win his game and go home and make another baby before he goes to bed that tomorrow night. So he's got plenty of time here. So we can let that joke keep rolling. But Philip Rivers 2.0.
Oh yeah, for sure. I believe my joke last night was that I give it about 30 minutes for the over/under for after the game, how long it takes for Vikings fans to declare Kirk Cousins a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's after that one game. Yeah, it's inevitable, like death and taxes.
So speaking of inevitable, the Saints are inevitable, guys. I'm calling a shot right now. The Saints are inevitable, and they got the Titans at home. So what do you like here? What do you think? Aaron, I'll start with you again.
Yeah, this was a tough one. Like when I don't know, did you guys sign up for that confidence, the pick? Mm-hmm. This was a tough one because I think like 72% of the people on ESPN picked the Saints to win this one. And I've always liked Derek Carr. I thought he got a bad rap in Vegas. I thought he was the scapegoat for a lot of their other issues. Mm-hmm. And I say, I'm sure he was probably pretty pissed when they parted ways there. But at the same time, this is probably a blessing in disguise for him. I'm picking the Saints more so because I don't really know what to expect with Tennessee. You got Tannehill, who's getting older. You got Derrick Henry, who isn't getting any younger, and he hasn't been, he still gets the same amount of carries every single year, so that's got to take its toll. So we'll see what is it now. And I'm drawing a brain fart here. Is it Hopkins that went there, or who was?
Oh, yeah, D-Hop went there.
Yeah, D-Hop went there. Yeah, so it'll be his addition. Will for sure help them to a certain degree, but I don't know. There was so much turmoil with them during the offseason that I wasn't even sure if Tannehill would be the starting quarterback once the season started, because it seemed like they were ready for a rebuild. And then all of a sudden they went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. And I'm like,
they drafted 2 quarterbacks the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? I mean, what is your plan here? Do you even have a plan? So, I'm picking the Saints. It's in New Orleans, correct?
It's and it's only a 3-point line.
So
Saints are favored by 3, so it's the home field advantage.
I would take the Saints and the points there. But again, it wouldn't shock me either if Tennessee showed everybody, that they're still a threat, at least in the NFC South and or AFC South, AFC South, and proved me wrong. But I also, like most people, I think like pretty much all of us, think the Saints are the front runner for that NFC South. So, I'm picking the Saints. It should be a good game. It'll be interesting to see what Derek Carr can do. That's what.
Okay,
that's what I'm going.
TJ, what's your pick?
See, I don't know. I'm kind of with Aaron with the fact that Titans are getting up there in age. D-Hop is not young by any means. Derrick Henry's, kind of losing his luster. You can only truck people so much before your body trucks you back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Tannehill is getting up there in age as well. I don't like the Saints at all. I don't like the Titans either. But if I have to go with it, I think this is going to be the game where Derek Carr steps out and says, "Hey, just because I was with the Raiders doesn't mean that I'm that bad of a quarterback." And he shows out and says, "Hey, I still got it in me. I can still run this game. I may not be what people thought I was, but it's I still have it." So I think the Saints are going to win it. I hate saying that, but I think the Saints are going to win it.
Come on, man. Who dat? All right, Troy, what do you got?
Yeah, I think the Saints are the pick here, but as Aaron said, and TJ echoed that sentiment, like, would not surprise me at all to see the Titans win this game. But the thing that keeps holding me back from the Saints, and I know you're high on him, Ben, but Dennis Allen, like, what has this guy done? Like, I don't think he's a good coach, and I don't know. That really holds me back. And if I'm looking strictly at coaching in this game, I'll take the Titans. The Saints definitely have more talent.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel if this is a close game and it comes down to the end, I think the Titans actually pull it out.
Where I think I'm looking at this is you have the depth of run game for the Saints also is impressive. Kendrick Miller is a good young talent. Jamal Williams being there now. When Kamara comes back after suspension, you've got pieces there that are hard to not like. Olave had a good rookie season. I think he's set to have a monster year this year. Michael Thomas is supposedly healthy and playing this year. Supposedly. But even beyond that, you own the tight end spot. They've got Jimmy Graham's back in the fold for that's where the Foster Moreau is there. A few guys now in the tight end spot they can kind of rotate around. I look at this team and the defense is still a calling card. That's why Dennis Allen matters. He's there because he made that defense a top 10 defense and made them relevant when Breeze's arm was frankly falling off his shoulder. So I look at this and say that the Saints are still a Saints defense, and they want to. Again, I talked about it last night with the Packer game. This could be another one of those really, really fast games because they're both going to run the ball a lot.
Yep.
And it's going to be that I can see both quarterbacks with less than 30 attempts, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yep, I agree.
So, yeah, I am a homer this one. That I've got family and friends. We cheer for the Saints, but I just don't see Tennessee having enough pop to really threaten here. I do like Vrabel as a coach. I do like some pieces that they have on the defense, but I just don't see enough there right now to make me feel warm and fuzzy at all. I do think that Treylon Burks has a coming out party this year with them, no matter who's quarterback. He did too much at Arkansas to not come alive at some point, but it's not going to be this week. So, yeah, I got the Saints in that one. But the next game is one we had fun with last night. I kind of want to hear you guys take on this one. And Troy, we'll start with you kind of right away with the Niners at the Steelers.
This is my upset of the week. I think the Steelers win this game, and I don't think it's I don't think it's going to affect the Niners too much. I still think they're going to run away with the West. I think the Steelers at home is going to be big. I think they're going to come out to play. They usually come out to play pretty well in week one. Brock Purdy's not going to be 100% yet. No matter what he says, he's not going to be 100% yet. He's going to take a little while to get back into the fold. Pittsburgh looked good. I don't think they're going to do anything stupid to shoot themselves in the foot. And I really have a strong feeling about Pittsburgh winning this game.
Okay. TJ, what do you think?
So this is – I'm going to be Lee Corso. Not so fast. All right. Brock Purdy may not be healthy. Brock Purdy may not be ready to really play. But they have a guy who's multi-versatile on that offense that'll run away with that game, and Christian McCaffrey. I feel like that was the steal blockbuster trade. I did pick him up in our league, by the way. So, and this is my thought. McCaffrey was probably the best thing that Carolina ever had in their system. Steve Smith retired, or Steve Smith went to the Ravens. McCaffrey came in. He was everything that Carolina needed. They lost him. He went over to San Fran, and he fit better over there.
Sure.
You
doesn't every running back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You put him in there this season. Brock Purdy's not feeling so hot. I think, he's going to help him out a lot. Ease a little bit of that stress off, maybe get him back into that Brock Purdy, everybody was, on the Brock Purdy hype train. I feel like he's going to put him back on there. Defensively, man, Bosa just got that contract. He's going to show out and be like, hey, you're paying me this money. This is why you're paying me, Yeah, they lose D'Amico Ryans as, a defensive coordinator. That was probably the best defensive coordinator I've seen for that, but I don't think the Steelers really are going to do too much. Maybe I see him getting maybe 2 touchdowns. That's it. And I see the 49ers running with it.
See, and I think that's kind of the key to the whole thing is can Pittsburgh score enough? I think their defense can shut down Brock Purdy, and I think they can contain Christian McCaffrey enough. But I guess I haven't seen enough, and I didn't watch him at all during the preseason. I know a lot of people were impressed with him. But I guess I don't know enough about their offense to determine whether or not they can score against Niners defense. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. I think if somebody, whoever gets to 17 first, I think it could be a 17-14 game or something like that. I don't even know what the over under is, but I'd probably take the under. So, but I will say, what is it? 41?
41.
I'd probably take the under on that. I don't see, TJ Watt is healthy. And I think I heard some number the other day about the wins losses for the Steelers when he's healthy, and it was, I can't remember what it was, but I was like,
got it right here for you actually.
Is it?
So last season without Watt, the Steelers allowed 25.3 points and 389.9 yards per game. They had eight sacks and 7 takeaways in those games. In the 10 games with Watt, the Steelers won 8-2, allowed 16.9 points, and 289.9 yards per game, recording 32 sacks and 18 takeaways.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. That is almost. I think Nick Bosa has similar. I think there's similar numbers for Bosa I think they're like 43 and 17 with Bosa, or something like that. I mean, it was. It's just both of those guys can literally turn flip the field, and that's what's fun about watching it. I mean, normally I will say I'm like most people, I think, that enjoy seeing scoring, but when you're watching two teams, like I wouldn't mind seeing a 10-7 game in this particular case, because I know you're going to see great defense. Like sometimes you hear like a 9-6 score and it's just two crappy teams, and you're like, okay, why do I, like back when the Bengals sucked and the Browns both sucked, you'd have some 9-6 games like that, and you knew it wasn't great defense. It was just two crappy teams meeting against one another. So, I would, I will say this though, after listening to Troy and after listening, no offense, TJ, don't take offense to this, but after listening to Troy and then our podcast last night, with the Packers podcast, you're convincing me to take Pittsburgh here. I mean, if I would put money on this game, I went in thinking that I'm going to do the Niners. I'm going to take the Niners just because I do think they're tough. But then I can't remember who it was that said it in yesterday's podcast. One of you guys made the comment about that yes, the Niners are a very good team, but if Pittsburgh was in the NFC, they would be, considered probably a top 5 team in the conference because of how bad, So I think sometimes we look at Pittsburgh and we're like, oh, they're not that great of a team. Well, that's comparing them to the rest of the conference, which is just unbelievably stacked. So now they're going up against, one of the best teams in the NFC, but how much better is the Niners than Pittsburgh? Because I think honestly the Niners going up against, I mean, maybe they would stand a chance against some of the top teams in the AFC, but I don't know. And of course I say this as I think I did pick them to win the Super Bowl, but so maybe I need to backtrack on that prediction. But
no, but I know what you're saying, Aaron, and by no means do I think Pittsburgh is actually a better team than San Francisco overall. I just have a feeling about this week and the way everything's going to go. You got a West Coast team going east. And when they're usually pretty evenly matched and that West Coast team loses that 3 hours on that trip, that's usually a little bit of a big deal, especially at a 1 o'clock kickoff here on the East Coast. So, I mean, that's what, 9 o'clock or, well, what would that be? 10 o'clock over there on California time kickoff. So I don't know. I think Pittsburgh wins this game, but I don't think that means they're the better team.
Agreed.
Sure.
No, I agree
that's true.
With all this. And to me, it goes back to Watt, and I will throw another dark horse out here for us. That's the dark horse MVP candidate is TJ Watt. If he stays healthy a full year and he can prove these numbers again, how do you not?
Right.
Because if you can look at a team who goes from being barely a wild card last year to if he's healthy all year and do the same thing again, man, that's a strong case for a man. But keep us moving forward here, guys. Commanders are hosting the Cardinals, and I'm waiting for a hot take here, boys. Who's got the hot take?
TJ.
There it is. Josh Dobbs times.
Josh Dobbs will come in and bend over those Commanders.
Okay.
No, honestly, so I've really been listening to the sports here in DC. My true thoughts are I think this is going to be the year that the Commanders really show something. Mm-hmm. New ownership, they're looking on the up and up. It's all I like to say. Every time I pass by FedEx Field, it doesn't smell like shit anymore. It's a fresh new day. It smells very.
They fixed the pipes.
They did. They fixed the pipes. There's a lot of things going on over there too. Next time I go by, I'll take a picture for you guys. There's a lot of plumbing trucks out there. But anytime that you talk to a Commanders fan, they're just happy because Dan Snyder's not there anymore. There's a lot of release.
Yep.
I think this is what they needed as an organization. Get rid of that nasty racist.
Yeah.
Let's just say a racist POS, man. And let them find something new. They found it. Let them, see what the season brings. I honestly, man, Arizona ain't got nothing for the Commanders this week. I think this game is going to prove that Commanders are not something to sleep on this year.
Yeah. Troy, what do you think?
I mean, you guys know how I feel about Arizona this year. I mean, this team's competing for 0-17, in my opinion, and they're going to get off to a hot start right here. And Commanders going to win this game by at least 20.
So, do you think there's a bigger Arizona hater this year than USC? I think they want Arizona to go 0-17 so Caleb stays in school.
So they can get Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. Aaron, what do you got for this game? Any surprises, or do you think the Commanders just take care of a crappy team?
No, I agree. I agree with Troy on that one. I think this is. I mean, this might be the one game where I look at the Commanders and say, yeah, they could probably win by 3 touchdowns. I mean, I just.
And I'll give you guys a spoiler. This is my confidence pick. This is my my elimination pick this week. So.
Really?
Okay.
Yes.
See, mine was the Vikings over the Buccaneers, but I mean, getting back to this, there's not. I mean, first of all, God bless whoever has to get stuck watching this game. I mean, it just. There's nothing. I mean, yes, I guess the Commanders have something going for them because they don't have Daniel Snyder anymore. So that's like the one positive thing that they can.
And they got a young quarterback to look at too.
Yeah, they do. But Arizona just, I actually kind of feel bad for some of the Arizona Cardinal fans just because of the fact that you finally got excited because you had Kyler Murray, and he was, they were actually, I think, a couple years ago were picked to win the division, I think maybe one season, and things were looking up, and and that was gone.
They start off 12-1 or something that one year and then blow the lead and then lost the division anyway or something, or
yeah, well, they started out, I think, was it 7-0 or 8-0, and the Packers beat them.
Yeah,
and I think it was a Thursday night.
Suggs and Watt and Ertz, they just kind of blew their load that way too, trying to get all those guys in. Yeah. So no, it's the Cardinals overall. Like, personally, I have nothing against them. I know there's been some weird history for the Packers and Cardinals the last decade or two, but in general, nothing against them. I think that the Commanders, though, to your point, Josh Dobbs versus Sam Howell sounds like week 3 of preseason, not week 1 of the NFL season.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Commanders' defense is highly overlooked, though, and I think they are a good unit, and I think you're going to see that this year. So I think the defense. I think Sam Howell is going to be a decent quarterback. I really do. I don't know that he's going to be this next elite thing or anything like that, but I think he's going to be a quarterback and come in. I think he's an upgrade from Heineke. And I think it's going to put them right into contention. But I think the thing that's going to really surprise a lot of people is that Commanders defense.
I think that Howell, to your point, Howell is Kirk Cousins 2.0.
Yeah.
Even a little higher profile coming out of North Carolina than even Cousins was out of Michigan State.
Yep.
I think it's a good fit and another guy to go in there and be that cheap option for the Commanders to kind of let them figure out the rest of their pieces. But keeping it moving to Aaron's and my favorite game of the week, Packers-Bears. And I have to share this too. I had to laugh today. I was going through my feed on Facebook, and all of a sudden I have all these cute bear videos, like actual bear videos. And I'm like, what is going on? Oh, it's because I'm searching and talking with the Bears all the time. And Facebook thinks I want to see more bear stuff, apparently. So, that's what I got going on right now. But Troy, go ahead and start us off here again on the Packers-Bears. What do you see and what do you think?
I've been going back and forth on this one all week, and it's just scary because it's unknowns for both of these teams. This is a new era for Green Bay. It's the start of a new era for Chicago. Like what are we gonna see? I don't know. I agree with what Ben says, and maybe he sold me on it, but I think as long as Jordan goes in and doesn't do anything stupid, doesn't lose them in the game, I think they should win this game, and I think they'll be in competition for that North crown. I don't think they'll win it. I think they'll still probably be like 2 games back. But I think they'll be right there. I think they have enough talent around them. I think their wide receivers take a step up this year, but I think they're going to rely real heavy on that running game. And like I said, between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon being talks of trades here for Jonathan Taylor and such, I think that's really going to set a fire under these guys. And I think you're going to see them coming out running with their heads steaming. So, I think I'm going to take Green Bay to win this game.
Okay. And TJ, how many yards does Roshan Johnson have in this game?
I don't even think he starts.
No, he's not. He's third string right now, but
yeah. So don't get my hopes up there, sir.
Sorry
for that. I'm buying a Bears jersey and I'm wearing it every show now just to make you both mad. I'm buying one.
You know what? I'll go get.
What did I do?
I'll get a Pat McAfee West Virginia jersey while we're at. Then how's that sound?
As long as it's not an OU jersey, I'm fine.
All right, man. So what do you got for this game, though?
So. I'm kind of with Troy in here. I don't. This game can go both ways. It's like a teeter-totter. I'm interested to see what the Carolina Bears do. Oh, I mean the Chicago Bears do. Yeah. But I'm also interested to see. Aaron Rodgers isn't in Green Bay anymore. So is this kind of like a weighted blanket? There's still a little bit of weight on there, but is this a weighted blanket kind of lifted off? They're free to do whatever. Now, I have no love for Love. I don't know who the hell he is. When everybody keeps saying Jordan Love, I actually had to look him up, and I don't know who this guy is. So I think, in my eyes, I think it's going to be a great game. Do I think it's going to be a blowout? Hell no. I don't think any one of these teams can really run away with it. I think it's going to be, I'm going to take what Aaron said a few games back. First one to 17 wins it. I think it's going to be very low scoring. I don't know. I'm going to be eating a lot of cheese on Sunday. So I'm going to say I'll be a Packers fan for the day.
All right, Aaron, what you got for this one?
Yeah, this is probably one of the first times in like 30 years I've actually been nervous for a Packer Bear game, and that includes the NFC Championship game in 2010 or 2011 technically 2010 season. I agree. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and I mean it hasn't changed. As long as Jordan Love if Jordan Love finishes the season as a top 15 quarterback, the Packers are going to at least go to the playoffs, I think. You have, in my opinion, the best, or maybe not the best, certainly top 3 running back duo in the NFL who have been grossly misused the last couple of years. And because of that, usually you see A.J. Dillon kind of takes a few games, if not maybe even the first half of the season to kind of get going. And then by the, end of the season and the late games and the cold weather and everything else, this duo reminds me a lot of, was it Dorsey Levens and Edgar Bennett that we had back in 96 that we won wasn't it Dorsey Levens and Edgar Bennett?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
I mean, where you had Dorsey, who was the faster and just the better, to me, a better athlete at running back. And then you had Edgar Bennett, who was like a classic mutter. I mean, I remember going to the season they won the Super Bowl, going to the San Francisco game, the playoff game. And it was rainy and crappy. And I think Desmond Howard had maybe like 2 returns for touchdowns that game, or at least one. I know that for a fact. But I remember near the end of that game, I mean, Edgar Bennett just covered in mud, just barreling through, right up the line. And AJ Dillon's that same way. And then you got Aaron Jones. So if they get that running back, that duo going, if they get that running game going, I don't think there's any way the Packers lose. It's not going to be a blowout, but I don't think the Packers lose this game if they can get those guys going. And if LaFleur commits to that, and that's been the biggest deal the last couple of years is, there are games, especially last year, it was obvious if you look at the numbers that the games that they got those two involved, or at least one of them, whether it was, it didn't have to be both, but when you got the running backs involved, they did much better last year than in games that they didn't. So, and I don't think that's going to change. I think it's even more imperative this year that they get the running backs involved. So, but they need to keep Justin Fields in between the tackles. I think we talked about that last night too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's imperative too, because you let that guy get out. I feel like they did do better near the end of the season last year against the run, with the exception of obviously the Philly game where Jalen Hurts just kicked our butt by himself. But I think otherwise I'd have to look back at the numbers. I feel like they did better as the season went along. But they still have this. I feel like, remember back when Colin Kaepernick was quarterback and actually starting for the Niners. I mean, he seemed to, every time we met them, he seemed to have our number. Even the season, like his last season as a starter, he didn't do all that well until they played us, and then he just tore us apart, And I feel that way with guys like Justin Fields, even though I still don't know how good of a thrower the guy is. I haven't seen him throw enough to know whether or not he's a good thrower, but he just has that ability. That's what's going to scare me the most, is what can he do, with his feet, and if we can stop him. So, but I'm predicting the Packers to win. I think last night I said it, and I'll say the same thing again, like 20-16, something like that, like a 4-point game, maybe a touchdown, but yeah, it's going to be close.
And for those of you curious, we do have our Talking Packers show Wednesday nights that we're alluding to. We also have for Aaron, myself, and our Uper Jay is our other buddy in the show, and we'll have another guest on, so I'll love to have you join us for that show as well. But
and I am working on doing this stuff for other teams too. So I don't want people to think that Dads with Bacon is just like all Packers and then we throw in some other stuff. So if there's anybody out there that wants to do other, I have had actually a few people talk to me about the Bills. I said, hey, if you want to do a Bills show, go for it. I mean, I'm not, I'll give them the straight.
I'd love to do it. I can't put any more on my plate right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's kind of the key. It's like, okay, what can we all do that we haven't been?
Yeah, if somebody wants to go for it, go for it. And if they want me to jump in every once in a while to give my opinion, that's fine. But I just don't want to commit to it.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, but by the way, did you have any more games, Ben, that you wanted to talk about, or do you want to end on the Packers Bears?
Well, we didn't get through all of them, but I do want to throw out both these guys' games at least. We'll skip the Broncos, Raiders, Dolphins, Chargers, Eagles, Patriots, Rams, Seahawks. But Cowboys, Giants, I got to hear where we're going with that one first to give some Cowboys banter here. So, TJ, how about them boys?
I think I'm actually scared for this game, to be completely honest with you. There's a lot that's been said in Dallas this week. Trey Lance coming in, they're saying, is this Dak's replacement? And I'll be honest with you, I don't like Trey Lance. I don't think he is Dak's replacement. Do I think he's a good quarterback? Not really proven yet, so I can't say yes or no to that one. But I will say that, come Sunday night, I will have my jersey on. I'll root for the boys. Win, lose, or draw, I'll always be a Cowboys fan. But I think this is going to be the first week one. I don't think we're going to win this game. I mean, I'm very nervous. I don't know offensively what we can do. We were massive on Dalton Schultz, on Zeke, like all these guys that we lost, they're not here. So, I'm kind of worried that, I'm kind of worried that we're going to stumble a lot first game, and it's going to be a learning experience. So as a Dallas fan, I say we lose this game, but I don't think it's going to be a bad loss. I think it's going to be one of those learning experience losses. I say 23-21. We lose it in the final drive. Danny Dimes comes out and wins it for him.
All right, Troy.
Yeah. What? Real quick. When McCarthy was in Green Bay, was he the play caller there as well?
He was mainly.
Okay. I wasn't sure how that worked there when he was there. I mean, I think the Cowboys definitely have the more talented team, so they should win this game. But there's something funky about Dallas in week ones, and especially when they play the Giants. Like even when the Giants weren't good, the Giants would give them a hard time in week one. I don't know why it is. Everything tells me to go with the Giants here, but I'm not going to. I think Dallas is too talented to let that happen. I think this, much like I thought with the whole thing with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, I think this trading for Lance is probably going to tick Dak off a little bit, and he might come out wanting to sling this ball a little bit. So I'll take Dallas 27-23.
Yeah,
it's interesting that TJ is the I mean, there's 4 of us tonight, and there was 4 of us last night. He's the only Cowboy fan. He's the only one that picked them to lose because I think even last night, like every single one of us was like, Dallas is just going to crush them. And
I don't think they're going to crush them.
I don't think that it wouldn't shock me if they did. But at the same time, I think it is going to be a close game, but I still think Dallas wins. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I got the Cowboys running away with this game. It's going to be a very, very heavy onslaught. I think the Giants get their wake up call. They're a surprise to me, at least, and a lot of people being decent last year. They are well coached. I like Brian Dable, but I think that the Giants just don't have what it's going to take to actually do something with this game. And I think the Cowboys kind of throw their weight around a little bit and speed up the inferior team.
Yep.
So last game we're talking about here is the Jets and the Bills in New York. So I guess, Aaron, you want to start us off?
Well, yeah, my wife and I were kind of joking about this game tonight because when I knew they were playing each other, but I could not remember like where they were playing at. And then all of a sudden I look and I see it's in the Meadowlands, and it was like, shocker that the NFL would give Aaron Rodgers a home game to start the season on Monday Night Football when he's in New York. Now
the last few 9/11.
Yeah, now the last few years they haven't done. The Packers have started on the road every year, even coming off of having the number 1 record in the NFC. But yet, he goes to New York and let's give him a Monday night game to start out the season against the one of their biggest rivals in their division. So, I'm not salty at all. Look, I picked the Jets to win this division, if you remember correctly. I think Marco and I were the only ones that even picked them to make the playoffs. I do think Aaron has a certain fire that he didn't have the last few years in Green Bay for sure in Green Bay. My biggest concern for them would be obviously their O-line, which I think everybody would admit that that's like probably their biggest weakness. But the thing with Buffalo last year, and Troy, don't get me wrong, I want to cheer for Buffalo. I want to cheer for the Bills. I like the Bills. Bills fans remind me a lot of Packer fans. Buffalo is like that city that, I mean, they have the Sabres, obviously, but otherwise they're not they don't have a whole bunch of pro teams, even though they're a decent sized city. They remind me of like the AFC version of the Packers for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that's just always how I felt. And I think maybe the fact that they were, they've struggled in the Super Bowls in the past. It's like, I don't want to call them lovable losers, but just,
that's kind of what it is, though.
Yeah. You want to see them get over that hump eventually. But to me, what was disappointing, especially last year, was they were so inconsistent. Like I felt like there were games that they should have just run away with. I mean, even was it in the did they play Miami in the playoffs and almost got beat by what was it, a backup or a third string? Yeah. I mean, like I thought for sure they should have run away with that game, and it was like they were just maybe toying with Miami or something. I don't know. So until they can show me that they are for real and that, hey, we're one of the favorites and we're going to come in and play like it. I'm picking the Jets. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be maybe a 27-24 or no, actually, I think I picked 58 total points for this game. So like 31-27, something like that. But I think you're going to, as long as the Jets O-line can protect Aaron and keep him upright, I think they're going to put some points up on the board. But I do think the Bills are gonna keep up with them. So
okay. Well, TJ, what do you think here? We'll go Troy after that.
Right now in my head, all I can think of is CeeLo Green's song "Bright Lights in the Big City," and that's what I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to come out to. When they announce his name at the Meadowlands. I honestly, I don't see the hype around Aaron Rodgers anymore. He's old. Let him have his year with the Jets, just like Brett Favre, and just tank. That's all I want to say. I will say this just because I love playing the game. Madden 24 right now is probably one of my favorite games. Josh Allen being on the cover of it, I love it. I actually have a Madden 24 poster because
nice.
I think it's probably one of the Ultimate Edition was probably my favorite picture of him in the crowd, just hyped up. It's awesome. I love it. I have that picture. The Madden curse is broken. Josh Allen goes off and tells Aaron Rodgers to suck it. The new age kids are in town. I've got Buffalo winning big.
Okay. Nice, Troy. How about you? Are you sharing TJ's optimism?
Yeah, I think the Bills will win this game. I think you're catching the Jets at a good time. They're not totally ready to gel and figure each other out yet. I think that's good to catch him this early in the season. Breece Hall's not going to be 100% yet. He'll probably only get 6-10 carries at the most. I don't think Dalvin Cook's anything to be scared of. So I'm not really worried about that. I think the Jets defense gave the Bills a hard time last year. So hopefully they did a lot of planning and working on that. And it's going to be fun to watch Diggs and Gardner go at it. I think that'll be a fun matchup. I'm excited to see what Kincaid does this year. Bills don't have very many a good tight end history at all. And he's going to easily break all the Bills tight end records as a rookie.
Pete Maltazar disagrees.
What was that?
Maltazar's disagrees.
Oh, Metzelaars. Yeah, Metzelaars. Yeah. He was, probably the best tight end they've ever had, really. Between him and Charles Clay was just a splash in the pan when they got him from Miami. Yeah, I don't know. Aaron, I'm surprised you have that high scoring with these two defenses. I think the Bills are going to win by at least a touchdown. So I'm going to go 26-13 Bills.
Oh, okay.
See, I think Garrett Wilson goes off in this game. I think that you'll see 200 yards receiving for Garrett Wilson, and that's going to be the entire offense for the Jets. I think that the Bills do win big, and that you're going to see Aaron Rodgers go to his force-feeding his top target all game heavy. I think Dalvin Cook gets his yardage. You're not afraid of him yet. When the guy's healthy, he's good. Fair warning, Troy. The guy's not a joke. He's a good player. One of the better Florida State running backs I've seen in a long time, honestly. So those pieces are there, but the Jets line sucks. And
They're lucky that they don't have Von Miller going against them right now, too. They got lucky there.
Well, across the board, I think that the Bills are going to have an absolute sack party. I think that Aaron Rodgers needs to be ready to protect himself because you're going to see an angry Aaron Rodgers. And I go back for myself watching Packer games. Whenever we went to Tampa, didn't matter what year, how good or bad they were, Rodgers was going to get pissed off and throw a tablet or pull a Tom Brady somehow yelling at people on the sideline. And I think that's going to happen here again. So I think that here's a good question coming up here. I'll answer this here with it as well. Close up my comments here. So the question is, Bills are so close to having something great. What do they think what are they missing? It's consistency. That's what they're missing. The pieces are there. There's nothing that I'd say. There's not a guy they need. It's just consistent play, and this goes across the board.
It's playing better in big games, I think, is what it is.
That's still consistency to me.
Sure, it is. But can I also say this too? And maybe this is just my bias coming into play, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a little bit of luck too, right? It's got to be.
I disagree a little bit.
Don't you think there has to be a little bit of luck that falls your way to win a Super Bowl?
But I think that the Bills,
for sure.
The Bills have had a little bit of luck though too.
Not when it matters.
Well, I'll go to looking back to. So I went to the Thanksgiving game in New Orleans for the Bills.
Yeah.
And that was a game that, the Bills, again, the game that matters much. It's the NFC opponent.
Lost Trey White in that game.
But in general, the Bills had the luck on their side. They won a game on the road in a tough environment. Looking at this, and I think the Bills overall.
But then hold on, Ben, just to go, piggyback on what you're saying there. Flip that around and look at the matchup last year between them and the Vikings in Buffalo.
Yep.
I mean, that was some shitty ass. I'm sorry, pardon my language, but there's no better way to describe that than, I mean, you're down on the goal line. All you need is to kind of get a little bit of space, for Josh Allen to grab the ball and get it, and he fumbles the freaking ball. I mean, exactly. Like this is you're one of the favorites in the AFC, and you fumble the ball in the goal. I remember looking at my wife going, "You got to be kidding me! Like you got to be freaking kidding me!" Like these SOBs are so damn lucky talking about the Vikings. And so, I mean, when you always hear people say, all the quote unquote experts say, you have to have a little bit of luck to win a Super Bowl. And I think that goes with any, I mean, look at the Bucks had some pretty good luck when they went on their run to win the NBA championship a few years ago with some key injuries to their opponents and things like that. I think every year some team gets a little bit, luckier. A little luckier than the other team. But at the same time, if
you can create luck too, though.
Yeah, and I do think there is
by
something
having
to be
yourself in the
said.
right position.
Yeah, and by sometimes you see, great teams put in a situation where they have a little bit of bad luck and they're able to overcome that. And I guess that's what the Bills need to be able to do is, you need to get to that point where you're so good that when that crap hits the fan, you can overcome that, and that's where kind of the championship team, I think, separate themselves.
And you're right. And they seem to fall apart when something like that happens.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Ben,
did you want to add something to that? I kind of interrupted you there. I'm sorry.
Well, you're fine. I think my point of the Bills is that they've had some of those balls bounce the right direction. But at the end of the day, I get Troy's feeling too. And as a fan, we feel the negatives that much worse. In management and philosophy, we talk about it takes 3 to 5 good things make up for one bad thing. And so when you're looking at bad calls against your team, you're going to remember that bad call. You're going to forget those 3 to 5 good ones just as fast.
Sure.
And again, I look at this and spending the years by the Saints fan base, every fan base thinks that the league's out to get them. I promise you, every one of them will tell you that the league hates their fan base, that somehow the refs are trying to screw them out of the game. Sorry to tell you guys, the refs don't care. Yeah. I'm convinced the refs don't care until the league actually has an agenda. And that part I will stand by. There are times they do step in. I'm convinced of this. I might get zapped for saying that. But it's at the end of the day, I look at this and say that the Packers are not favored by the refs, nor are they discriminated against by the refs, nor is another fan base typically. So I think that's where I look at this.
Fair to say, and I think the Bills will even fall into this category now, but they didn't used to before they had a quarterback. But I think the refs do favor calls, especially when there's quarterback hits and stuff, to the all-star quarterbacks versus the regular Joe quarterback.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
Star players, period. Any position, star players. If it's a cornerback who's a star player, he gets away with more holding than anyone else.
Yeah,
Richard Sherman's a prime example of that. Some wide receivers would get away with way more push-offs than anyone else because they're that.
Michael Irvin was. I mean, that was that was classic Michael Irvin. When you'd even see the arms extended and there'd be like no call whatsoever. I mean, So I would agree with you on that.
You don't know how frustrated I used to get when the Bills would play the Patriots. And granted, I know this was a long time ago, and this was the Bills really didn't have a great team to compete with the Patriots, but a clean hit on Tom Brady and they're throwing a flag in, roughing the passer. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
you two-hand touch the guy?
I remember a couple of years ago that same thing happened with actually I think it was LaFleur's first year as coach for the Packers when they went 13-3, and they beat the Lions twice on last second field goals, and the one at Lambeau, the drive was extended by a call, and I can't remember if it was they called it a roughing the passer, and it wasn't. Like they said he hit his helmet, and it turned out you see the replay, and
I think I
the
remember
player
that game.
clearly
Yes.
hit Aaron's
Yes.
shoulders, something like that. I can't remember what it was, but even as a Packer fan, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. Of course you're going to take it.
At the same time, I'm like, yeah, that could have been, that probably wasn't a good call. So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I agree. I don't know whose comment that was, but I agree. I mean, they're so close, and it's so frustrating. But in the same breath, I'll take it because before this 5-year run, the last 20 before that were freaking miserable. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, before we go, guys, I want to mention something that stuck in my head from earlier tonight. And I know, Ben, you probably didn't see this because you were probably doing the college show. But did either of you, Troy or TJ, get to see any of the pregame for the Thursday night game tonight?
Did not.
Okay. So they had on, I thought that was kind of funny. I wanted to see what you guys thought before we left. So they had on, Mike Tirico was interviewing Roger Goodell. Obviously he's at the game. And Tirico says to him, nice.
That's what happens, right?
Yeah. That's right. You gotta, when you mention his name, you gotta boom. And Tirico asked him about the whole issue with gambling. And he said, how do you feel right now with the state of gambling and some of the issues that you've had? And Goodell's response made me actually laugh out loud because he looked at Tirico and he said, well, Mike, honestly, this is the reason why we were against legalized sports betting to begin with. And I was like, wait a minute. You guys have done everything in your power to integrate betting into the NFL. I mean, you guys are making money hand over fist through legalized betting on the NFL. Did anyone else find that?
Well, yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Am I wrong on that?
The NFL Network is owned by the NFL, which obviously Roger Goodell has a part in, right? And don't they even have shows on the damn network that like talk about gambling and the lines and fantasy points and like?
Yeah, exactly. And I was wondering, I'm like, am I missing something? Because, I just, every other commercial break is something, whether it's FanDuel or, MGM Sportsbook or something like that. Like, Ben, TJ, am I right to think what I'm thinking, or what? What, Ben?
Touchdown lines.
Oh, nice.
No, you're spot on. I mean, you look at DraftKings, everybody. How many times have you seen NFL codes as part of their like free bet weekends? I mean, these guys, they're making money hand over fist. He's got to say what he's got to say. I think that Goodell is in this situation. It's saying the right thing at the right time and mean the exact opposite. He can't come out here and say he supports sports betting and suspend players for a season. I mean,
well, yeah, but you could say something like, well, you know what, Mike, we're in favor of legalized. We support legalized sports betting, but I mean, yeah, there are some issues that we have to iron out. We're working on doing that or something like that. But to just come out and fight, because then I started wondering, I'm like, did I miss something years ago where the NFL actually came out and said, no, we don't want, because the NFL could easily just not allow it. I mean, they own the Shield, they own their product, so if they don't want people betting on their product, they could come out and just say, no, you can't, and it would instantly make it illegal to bet on NFL games and sports books and whatever. I mean, TJ, what are your thoughts on that? Am I wrong here? Am I off base or not?
No, I mean, I'm kind of with Ben, I feel like he has to say, I don't like it, even though there's guys in the league who are betting. It may not even be their games, just betting on games in general, and they're getting suspended for it. So, I feel like this whole betting on games is taken off very fast. I mean, like here in the state of Maryland, we just got ours. I think last year we just got it. They integrated it at Camden Yards when I went this season. There's a whole like four or five little shops of just betting areas.
Yeah. Well, they probably have those ready. So they're like, hey, as soon as we get it passed, get your asses in the stadiums, they already have the equipment there,
And I just feel, in my eyes, I don't like doing the sports betting, through MGM or whatnot. I want to do a bet between me, like me and you. We shake hands, $100, $100 is $100. That's why I feel like, That's the betting that I've always grown up
Yeah.
with. I feel like, Roger Goodell, as a commissioner, dude, he sucks. That's why I'm glad I never got into college football and made it to the NFL. Because if I got drafted and walked on that stage, you probably would have seen me punch him.
TJ punched somebody? I don't
Yeah,
believe
I know.
him.
That's a shocker.
I would never believe it happened in my life.
No, I mean, yeah, this is crazy. Talk me off the ledge here, guys, because in my mind, there is no way something scandalous does not end up happening off this gambling. There's no way it doesn't happen. Am I wrong?
No.
Well, what I'm waiting for is the owners. What happens when an owner is caught? Because those guys are betting. There's zero doubt in my mind that you're going to have an owner betting. And so if that's the case, when do you have Jerry Jones swinging his influence to create what he has to create for himself? He's done it for contracts on building stadiums. Why wouldn't he on sports bets? It's the new insider trading. Only there's not an FCC protecting it. The Gaming Commission, good luck proving it, guys. I think that the scandal I'm waiting for is the owners. When the owners start betting and they get caught, that's when we have some interesting pieces to go by. To TJ's point, no one's going to care if Jerry wants to call up Pagula and say, hey, we're going to bet this year on our game. Great, have fun. No one cares. But the minute that goes to a sports book, and it won't be with Jerry Jones' name on it. It'll be someone else's name, but you can't tell me they don't have aliases. If I was him, you can bet your butt I have an alias. I'm not going to assign to any hotel, whether I own it or not.
I'm sure they have bunches of them.
Exactly. So, I mean, no.
Let's hope they do it better than the players at Iowa. Okay,
right.
That's who use their moms. Hey, I'll sign up with my mom. My mom will open my account. There you go.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's no way this doesn't happen, right? There's no way.
I think the only way you're going to stop it is legitimately taking away eligibility and paychecks. That's the only way to stop guys from really betting on.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's fair to me, do not let them bet on a game they're playing in. If they want to bet on an opponent's game, go nuts. I really don't care if you want to bet on the Vikings game you play for the Packers. Have fun. I mean, it's when you get to the betting on your own team, I understand that being a problem, and that part I think is well documented. So
see, I'll be honest with you though, Ben, on that point. And I thought I heard, and somebody can correct me at a later time if this is wrong, but that like over in Europe, players are allowed to bet on their own team as long as they're picking their team to win.
Okay.
And to me, I honestly don't care if that's the case. If you're betting on your team to win, go for it. I really
to win. I agree.
To win. That I mean, because then you're not like you can't be accused then of hey, he dropped a pass in a certain time because he wanted to make sure he was under the spread or whatever. If you're betting on your own team,
only win bets. Yes.
Yeah, win. Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
Straight ups.
But and also what happens?
No lines.
What if your dad's betting? What if your grandpa's betting? How far does it go?
Well, that's just it. Yeah. I mean, and that's the problem when you open it up. To me, you either open it up and just let it go or you don't open it up to betting at all because there's so many gray areas that, I think you are opening. And Troy, by the way, I won't talk you off the ledge because I don't think you're really, I think that's realistic to assume that there is going to be some kind of a scandal. So
Troy, I'm going to let you bet on take a bet right now. Will next week's show be over or under 90 minutes?
Under. Brad will be back and make sure we're all in line.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We need Brad here. Brad, we need you here, buddy. Stop playing your retro video games here for a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Good luck to him. I think that's coming up.
In all seriousness, though, guys, it's good to have football back. I was telling Ben, on the college show, like the only thing that sucks about football being back is it means winter's right around the corner, but there are worse things than that. So,
see, and I love winter. I love.
I don't know how you love it, especially being there, man.
I love fall and winter. I mean, especially fall. Fall is to me is a fun time. I'm a hoodie guy, so I'm not wearing one right now, but I mean, I love hoodies, and my wife always loves bonfires.
Yep.
But she loves them when it's like 90 degrees outside. Oh, let's start a fire. No.
The thing I hate is that fall only lasts like 1 month,
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. It goes from fall right into winter.
Yeah, also, it's 90 this week here in our area, and next week it's gonna be down in the 70s, and then by in a month from now it'll probably be down in the 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for here, we had early, like 80s and 90s earlier in the week, and then now it's like I think 69 today or something like that.
Yeah, we just had a bunch of storm roll through our area today, so
yeah. So
it's crazy.
Well, guys, and we're all kind of getting this thing either way, but thanks for the talk. And I guess one more plug.
Yeah, we're working on this whole format here, so hopefully we'll be able to speed things along a little quicker as we talk through each game. And maybe we shouldn't even talk about each game. Maybe we should just pick out the 6 or 7
5 or 6. Yeah, for sure. So. All right, guys. Everyone have a great week. Enjoy the first week of football or NFL football. Enjoy the week number 2 to see Colorado and Coach Prime go 2-0. No, I just had to say that because I know I figured I'd get that reaction from Ben right there. Yeah. So anyway, have a great weekend, guys.
Take care, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Wisconsin.